Greetings, everyone. So here we are for another great topic called "Building an Inclusive Culture from Within" with Ana Sanches, VP for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Teleperformance Portugal, which is an exhibitor company today. So I would really request all the people to go and have a visit to the booth. How are you, Anna?
I'm good, thank you.
So, Anna, your mission is bridging people and a business together through an effective HR strategy by helping nurture and retain the talent while making a daily positive impact in people's lives. No need to say much more, right? So, please feel free to start your presentation.
Okay, let me select the file so you can all see it. I see some people joining in. Okay, let me know if you're all seeing it. I know that you can give some reactions. Good, perfect. It will be awesome to have some of your reactions during the presentation. So please feel free to do so with a thumbs up. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so before I start the presentation, let me just start by presenting myself. So I'm Ana Sanches, I'm 35 years old, I'm an assumed millennial, I'm a proud woman and mother of two. One was almost born during a music festival and the other during the pandemic. So I have a very interesting, very interesting birth stories to tell. I'm a music lover. I'm passionate about different cultures. I used to live in Macau when I was little, so I think that's when my passion for diversity started. I've been specializing in human resources. My background is in management, but I have been working a lot under employee experience, well-being, and diversity and inclusion practices. I'm also a very big fan of behavioral design and change management because I think they're both super important for these topics, and so this is what I normally use to move the needle. On my spare time, I'm also an activist on social media for women's rights in pregnancy, birth, and postpartum, and that's what I do also here in Portugal. Talking a bit about Teleperformance. So I've joined Teleperformance in July, so I'm actually a newcomer myself, but I already feel, part of this big family, and it's really, really a big family. You can see by our numbers, we have more than 12,000 employees. We're in a lot of different sites. We have almost 100 nationalities, a lot of languages spoken inside our company. And so you can see that diversity is a part of our reality. We also have been awarded, several recognitions from Great Place to Work. And normally we are very proud of communicating that as well. And I didn't know this before, but we actually work with some of the coolest companies in the world. We cannot mention all of them, but I can tell you that besides the ones that I'm showing you, we have many others, that are part of our portfolio and really make up, an interesting culture inside of our own TP culture. So I don't want to be here lecturing about diversity. I'm sure you all know a bit about what it is, but I do wanted to tell you that normally when we think about diversity, we think about things that are very visible to our eyes, right? So we do have dimensions that are more external to us, but we have also internal dimensions that are part of our diversity, the way that we think, the way that we were brought up. So a lot of this also makes up who we are, and dimensions are very different from person to person, and normally that's what we call intersectionality, so crossing different dimensions between people. But diversity in a company is not enough, to make some magic. So normally we tell that diversity, is about counting people, understanding how many nationalities, different generations, different genders, but we need to really focus on, making those people count, not only counting people, but making them count. And this is very much about what inclusion is, right? And although we have a lot of studies that confirm that diversity is, good for business, we know that increasing diversity altogether does not by itself increase, effectiveness of a company. And so, understanding what we can do as a company to make people feel that they belong, that they are part of a culture, and that they are not somewhat marginalized for something that they are or they feel, is really what we aim to do in our DEI practice here at TP. And so, just doing a parallel with music, because I told you that it's one of the things that I like the most. Diversity is when you invite everyone to the party, and you don't leave anyone behind. Equity means that everyone can contribute to the playlist and can actually, hear it. And then inclusion is about everyone feeling okay to dance under that music. And so this is pretty much the balance that we want to create when we are defining our own DEI strategy. And I'm sharing with you our global DEI strategy for TP that we are also applying here in Portugal. We are going to base our strategy in these four pillars of action. Leadership, because we know that our leaders, are the ones that are going to make up the role models, the people we are looking up at, and understanding how their behaviors are. And so understanding that we have representation, understanding that we have accountability from our leaders is essential for our own strategy. Then we will be looking at our systems, and this is where I really make a connection with this job fair, because IT and technology is a big part of how we can include or exclude people in a company. Do you agree with that? Can you give me a thumbs up if you agree with this? Let me see if someone, okay. Yes. So, besides policies, processes and metrics are super important. So understanding the numbers, understanding where we're coming from and where we want to go is really an important pillar as well. And then it's all about culture. How can we, create a learning path for people to be more conscious about their own biases, about how they can be more inclusive in their behaviors, and how can we engage and create a community around our diverse culture and audience. And then it has also to do with reputation, right? So how do we benchmark? How do we look at other companies and see the great things that they're doing and take inspiration on it, or be ourselves the inspiration for other companies and companies that work with us to do change as well. And so we will be looking in the next few months, in the next few years, because there's a lot to be done, and we know about this. We will be looking at these three areas: awareness, empowerment, and accountability. And I've spoken a bit about all of them, but I really wanted to focus on awareness, and that's the reason why I told or I've put this presentation as, inclusion starts within, because awareness is the first step for all of us to understand our own biases and how we can change them. Has everyone here know about the concept of unconscious bias? Can you give me a thumbs up, or maybe a thumbs down if you haven't heard it, so I can share with everyone? Thumbs down if you never heard about unconscious bias. I'm seeing thumbs up. Thumbs up. Okay, so maybe I don't need to explain about it, but if you're all aware, you know that it comes from understanding the processes in our minds that makes us sometimes make a decision or make or create an impression on someone based on just a small interaction. And so understanding that there's much more to people than what we see in the first stage is really important, and the baseline for all the rest that we're doing. And we're actually going to create internal resource groups. So employee resource groups are groups that normally help get, some underrepresented groups having a voice in the company, so they can tell us, because we all have blind spots. Let me give you an example that I really like to share with everyone, which is when YouTube launched their app. They had about 10% of the videos launched that were upside down, and this happened because in their team they didn't have anyone that was left-handed. So I, for example, am left-handed, so I would, put the videos in a different way than a right-handed. And so this is about understanding other people's perspectives to then bring that to the table and make them have a voice, so we can include that in our strategy, in our human resources practices. But what I really wanted to tell you about is a small story, and it's about what we call Project Charlie. And it's really to show you that small changes have big impact on people, and it's quite related with systems and technology. So let me present you Charlie. It's not Charlie is not the image you're seeing, but he's someone that on July of this year was onboarded at TP Portugal. And during the onboarding, Charlie presented themselves as they, them, as a non-binary person. So if you understand what is a non-binary person or a non-binary concept, it's basically an umbrella term for a gender identity, for someone that doesn't identify with a male or female. Okay, so that's why they use the they, them pronoun. And when I asked Charlie how was the onboarding going, how were they feeling, Charlie stated out that they were enjoying, but all the company tools said or showed their dead name. So the name that Charlie used before deciding to be Charlie. Okay, and this really made Charlie uncomfortable. And so our team in TP Portugal decided to get together and to understand, okay, so maybe we're not doing, the right process on understanding how people would like to be called and pointing this out in all the systems that we have. So we got together with IT and HR, and we also had some great allies internationally at TP group. And then we understood that we needed to change the process and adapt the tools. And IT was so important under this process. And that's why I thought it would be really interesting to show you this, because, we talk about high tech, but high tech without high touch doesn't work, right? So the question was, okay, what if someone wants to change their name or start with a different name than the official one? And this is a reality for a lot of people, and not only for non-binary people, but, for people that don't like their second name. Can someone tell me that you don't like your second name? Can you give me a thumbs up if you don't like your second name, for example? Okay, one person. So this is real, not only for non-binary people, but also for other people that for some reason don't like their name or are used to being called other names, right? So we started thinking, okay, what if this happens? And we started looking at our own processes and understanding that we had to change this from the moment we interacted with the person, the first moment, right? So when the person was recruited, we had to ask the person, okay, what is your preferred name? How would you like to be treated? And it's such a simple question, but no one was asking it before, right? And so this would then translate to the way we created the profile of the person. And we're not saying that we're not including their official name, because that's important too for official purposes, for pay slip and all of that. But we're saying that if the person wants to be treated with their preferred name, then that's what we're going to use inside. And then integrate all that information to all the systems and tools that we use internally. And if you are in tech, you know that this normally takes, some complexity. We have a lot of tools connected. We have a lot of different process intervening. So this became an important project where, HR and IT got together to really fix, this new way, this new approach to people. And it seems really simple, right? But it's in those small details that you can really make a difference. And I'm going to show you the difference we made. This is Charlie's testimonial, and Charlie accepted, to give it. And I'm really going to just be silent for you to read it, because I think it's really, really powerful. Yeah, so can you see the big impact that we can have in someone's lives just by looking, at how they see, their own, from their own perspective and not ours. And this is why inclusion really starts within. And this is the sentence I want you to keep in your minds after this small session, because it starts when we get conscious on other people's challenges. It starts when we question our own ways of working, and it starts when we decide to change processes, systems, and behaviors to really make a company more inclusive. Okay, and that makes all the difference in people's lives. It almost gives me goosebumps. And this is it from my side. I hope it was a way of showing you and showcasing what we're doing internally. There's plenty much more to come, but I thought this was a good example to share with you. I don't know if we're now up for Q&A. Well,
Thank you so much for the presentation.
you're welcome.
Let's have the Q&A. So the first question is that in which ways are you raising awareness about the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion at your workplace? Could you please run us through some examples?
Sure. Okay. So awareness, as I told you before, is pretty much about giving information, and sharing, good practices as well in the organization. So one of the things we're doing, and we started actually this week on a pilot on inclusive language. And inclusive language is important because it helps you understand when you sometimes, speak to a certain audience, or when you speak to someone else. For example, if I started this saying, "Hello, guys," it would be, not very inclusive, thinking about, women that might be hearing me. Okay, so this is the type of examples of small things that we can do to really adapt our own communication to the audience, and to be inclusive of everyone, right? So if we say, "Hello, everyone," "Hello, everyone out there," we're including everyone, right? Not only the guys in the room. So this is a small example of what we have been doing. We have been piloting some options. We are also thinking about having unconscious bias training, especially for leadership roles, and we will go from there to having small nudges, some small videos explaining people, for example, what's the difference between gender identity or sexual orientation, what are biases and how can we avoid them. So small nudges, very related to behavioral design, where we also want to get people more aware of these topics in the organization.
Cool. Thank you so much for the example. Next question is from Carla. She said, "Anna, thanks for the presentation. Really loved it. Quick question: how did you communicate this change to all the employees? How were the acceptance level?"
Are we talking about the Project Charlie? I would expect. So it was really interesting to see. We've talked about it in a manager's meeting. So we explained to everyone what we were going to do. It's still the project is still undergoing, so we haven't communicated to everyone yet, and but we will soon. So you're hearing it firsthand as well. But the reaction from managers and leaders was really impressive. So what we had next was people coming into our team and saying, I have someone in my team that doesn't feel comfortable with their name. So can you help me out? And this is a great consequence. When people understand that they have a path where they can use to start making a change. So we actually changed not only Charlie's situation, but already 2 or 3 more examples in the company, and then we will, ramp it up to everyone, and everyone that wants to change their name will be able to do so as well.
Oh, that's a really great approach. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot once more for all the questions from our audience. And for HR queries, please go and check the Teleperformance Portugal's booth. There you can ask your questions directly to the recruiters, and that's what we are here for, right? So yeah, thank you so much again to everyone being with us, and have a patience to go through the entire presentation, and a wonderful talk from Anna. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.